Howdy, everybody.
Sit down last.
Thank you for coming to this distinguished panel and me. We have, well, I don't have my notes with me. Perfect. So, I don't know who these people are without my notes. Bill. Actually, in order on my left, we have Lawrence Krauss, a cosmologist at Arizona State University, writer of Quantum Man, a book about Richard Feynman. One of my favorite people on this entire planet, and you know, as an astronomer, I know exactly what that means. Pamela Gay, an astronomer who does Astronomy Cast, also known as Star Strider. Another old friend of mine, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't think I need to introduce him very much.
I love Neil. I love you. I love you.
A, you know who he is, and B, he's given the talk after this, so I'll let George introduce him more officially. And you know him as the science guy. I know him as Speedwalker from Almost Live. For those of you, the 5 of you laughing, awesome, heel toe, heel toe. Executive Director of the Planetary Society, Bill Nye. We're going to be talking about the future of space, and I do want to mention that I'm actually quite pleased to be moderating a very diverse panel. And in fact, the diversity should be very obvious to you all because 2 of these people have been on Stargate Atlantis and 2 of them have not. So it's a pretty fair split with that. Sadly, Doctors McKay and Keller couldn't be here. They have a previous engagement in an alternate reality. For the, yeah, okay, so I'm trying to see the Almost Live fans and the Stargate Atlantis fans, okay. See who else I can alienate here. Literally, the other day on Google, I got an alert that evidently Bill Nye and I are both employed by the NSA and the CIA. And, you know, we can split that. If you want NSA, I'll take CIA.
It's a living.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, those checks, they keep rolling in between Big Pharma and NSA. It's awesome. Now, for those of you here, there aren't too many of you here, I don't think, who have been to all of the TAMs, or at least TAM 1, which was in Florida in 2003. And I was thinking about this the other day. The TAMs last 3 days, roughly, 3.5 days, which is 1% of the length of a year. And there are maybe 4 or 5 extraordinary astronomical or space events that happen per year. So the odds of any one TAM hitting a specific astronomical event seems rather low. And yet, at the first TAM, literally during the TAM, we lost Columbia. Columbia broke up in February 2003, and that happened during TAM 1. During another TAM, the Huygens probe from Cassini landed on Titan, the moon of Saturn, and returned pictures. And I remember scrambling to try to get those pictures displayed so that we could all see them, and we saw them right here at TAM. Today, we are dealing with the last of the space shuttle flights. That picture is, in fact, right side up if you're on the space station. That is an unusual event, and that this
it's
is
in orbit. There is no right side up.
That's right.
Near Earth there might be.
You know, he's
Just to clarify.
yeah, you look better that way, Neil. That's good. Okay.
There still is a down, though.
Yeah, yeah, and well, that's an excellent point. There is a down, and Atlantis is going to land on Earth on July 21st. The 42nd anniversary to the day, depending on your time zone, that Neil Armstrong set foot on another world. And I will say, in the midst of this, we have another astronomical first, in that the Dawn mission is going to be orbiting the asteroid Vesta sometime today. This is a main belt asteroid, the 2nd largest. It's going to orbit for a year, take close-up pictures. This was taken about a week ago. And it's in a year after a mapping mission, it's going to move on to Ceres, the largest of the main belt asteroids. I shouldn't be lecturing about this. I'm sure Bill knows more about it as the Executive Director of Planetary Society. And you can also follow Emily Lakdawala, who blogs for the Planetary Society, and she's a fantastic science writer. But with all of these events happening now, and seem to be happening with TAM, it seems wholly appropriate, especially with this really amazing panel, to talk about the future of spaceflight, the future of humanity in space, if not our direct presence, at least our proxies in space by robots. And I have been hearing over and over again, and I mentioned this to Bill earlier, that people are calling this the end of human spaceflight, or at least the end of the space program. That NASA is going to land the shuttle, We don't have a rocket system in place. Constellation, which was going to replace the shuttle, was scaled back and then eventually canceled. And we don't have anything going up in the future. And I actually want to keep this a little bit general and just feel you guys out and get your impressions about this.
I think it's far more sad that the James Webb Space Telescope is going to be canceled, because that involves real science and not spending money to orbit 90, 100-pound tanks of water around the Earth. And
he means us.
And so if it is really canceled, there'll be no, that's the flagship of U.S. astronomy for the next 20 years, and it'll be like the cancellation of the superconducting supercollider 20 years ago killed particle physics in this country.
That's exactly
it'll
right.
be it's a disaster, and so people should write your Congress people and tell them not to cancel the James Webb Space Telescope.
Is anyone here not familiar with this?
So James Webb Space Telescope. James Webb was the administrator of NASA under Kennedy. So he had a lot to do with the Apollo program and what many people
Just
think.
like in NASA, when you're called administrator, you are the highest ranking
That's the
person
biggest
in the,
deal.
right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest deal. It's not Bill Nye's administrative assistant,
Yeah.
which is a big deal. I mean, but it's the head person. So in the case of the superconducting supercollider, for those of you who don't remember, by the way, these are all United States things you're talking about. If you want to go to the International Space Station, you take a Russian rocket. They're fine. They work great. Soyuz rocket. It's not cheap, but it's considerably less than taking a U.S. space shuttle. Right now, a little over $1 billion a flight. $1 billion a flight. It's like that's not a good bargain.
It's only
Right.
$20 million if you're a U.S. millionaire and you want to go on
Yeah,
Russia.
well then it's nothing to it. No, but so the thing is, the superconducting supercollider, the physicists, if I may, God particle love them,
astrophysicist.
went to Congress and said they were going to find, my recollection, they're going to find the Z particle or the
Higgs particle.
Higgs boson, right? And Congress people looked at them. Well, that's fine for you guys, but we have wars to conduct and people to feed and so on. Instead of saying, we are going to unlock the next secret of the universe, that would have been a little more compelling. Similarly, James Webb Space Telescope, everybody, think of how much we love Hubble. We love images from Hubble and how it has changed the world. And when Hubble went way over budget, people wrung their hands, wanted to deorbit it. That's a verb. But then when it turned out the mirror was made improperly, but then people made arrangements to fix the mirror. Okay. Same thing is going with James Webb Space Telescope. It's not the telescope that's the problem, it's management that's the problem. And so the universe isn't just expanding, it's accelerating, right? And you know why?
No, and
Nobody knows why.
yeah.
And so if you want to find out, you have to build missions like this.
I always like to say that no one knows why, and if someone tells you that they know why, they're lying, especially if they're a string theorist.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Do you know any?
one of the important things that NASA experimentally determined during the process of writing their most recent decadal survey is one should not allow planetary scientists or astrophysicists to budget anything, because we don't include contingencies and we underestimate and we screw up. And this was actually, they did something really awesome with a recent survey of the community where they asked the planetary science community to say, what should we do for the next 10 years? And by the way, confine all of your dreaming to projected presidential budgets, so this is a realistic dream you're coming up with. And the planetary scientists and the geophysicists and the astronomers went off and locked themselves in rooms and came up with really awesome plans and really, they thought, realistic budgets. And then NASA did something for the first time that was very wise. They sent all of the budgets out to commercial agencies to look over and check for realism, and they came back about 30% higher. Now with the James Webb Space Telescope, this is a mission that I believe was originally budgeted under $2 billion.
1.6.
It was 900 million.
Okay.
Originally, yeah.
Then it got bumped up to about 1.5, and they're now estimating that it's going to come out at $6.5 billion because they let astronomers budget it, and we shouldn't be allowed to. And Congress is looking at this and going, well, you guys clearly don't expletive know what you're doing. And rather than looking at us and going, wow, you guys know how to do science, we ask you to do something you're not trained for. They're trying to take away our toys. And the other problem is Congress is trying to get rid of $2 to $4 trillion of U.S. budget. And any of you who have ever written a budget before know that when you realize you're over, the first thing you do, which is stupid, but the first thing you do is just get rid of all the small line items. And then you realize they don't add up to enough, but that's still the first thing you do. Every time I write a grant, the first thing I do is get rid of postage. And yeah, that's $200 and I'm 300,000 over.
So you're the one.
I am that one. But I write citizen science projects, so we'll get these people looking at the Dawn mission data he's talking about. So I want my postage back.
So human spaceflight is very expensive. And there's long history of this, but let me just remind everybody, whether you live in the US or not, reckoned in 2010 dollars. Like, how many people have used the expression, if they can put a man on the moon, why can't they blank? Well, in 2010 dollars, Apollo cost 151 billion. 151 billion. The interstate highway system, which is quite large and is used a lot more than by 12 people, cost by the federal portion, 114 billion. So there will I don't think there'll ever be another investment in space exploration at that level, because it was really a result of the Cold War. That's why people went to the moon. But on the other hand, everybody's pretty satisfied that if you can get a human into a situation to explore things, the human does things very well, is sort of the best explorer you can get.
For now, I just,
well,
in a matter of years, that won't be true, I don't think. So.
Mars, Phoenix, Curiosity.
Hey, I'm a huge fan. Hey, I got the sundials. I'm crazy for Mars, yeah. But the geology, I don't want to say, the other thing is, bear in mind, I'm from the U.S., I grew up in the U.S., if it's U.S. versus anybody and whatever, speedball, or hockey, I'm generally U.S., but the Soviet Union put the first cameras on the moon, the first soft landing on the moon, the first sample return, the first Mars rocks came back from the moon, all robotically.
No, Mars rocks from the moon?
Mars rocks from the moon. Bill, dude, it's on my mind.
You're not supposed to tell anybody.
The first rocks. See, that's the kind of slip where you lose that CIA gig.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It was all done by Hollywood anyway. So
I apologize. The first sample return from another world was done robotically by the former Soviet Union, but people didn't really get excited about it, and the Cold War didn't get resolved until humans were there. So there's something to that.
We're about to move into a new age where we have SpaceX, which is led by Elon Musk, who did PayPal, and Tesla, who's the most amazing young South African. He's about my age and has already had 3 major corporations. He's the most inspirational person that I've ever encountered. And I have no clue what was said, but all right. As we move into the future, we're going to be moving into a future where instead of having NASA running the show, we're going to have the commercial agencies launching as well. We're going to have the Mojave Spaceport, Spaceport America in New Mexico. We're going to have Virgin Galactic joining Virgin Atlantic as a way to spend your tourism dollars, if you're stupidly rich.
But the problem is, I think that's all a scam. I really do. I think I just got asked about this. The point is that it's exponentially, look, to go in Earth or near Earth orbit, to go the distance between New York and Washington above the Earth, yeah, maybe private industry can do it, but it's just the laws of physics say it's just exponentially more expensive and exponentially more difficult to actually explore somewhere interesting.
Yeah.
And therefore, I don't think it's ever going to be. I don't think private industry has ever got the commercial payback is not going to be in the near term without the government.
I've been politely silent, haven't I?
I know. I was surprised.
I was going to use the word oddly, but okay.
I didn't think you were that polite, though, but it's okay.
I just want to clarify some of this information that's being bandied back and forth. There is fundamentally no business case for private. Can I finish the sentence?
I'm not sure I want to be here anymore.
There is fundamentally no business case for private enterprise to advance a space frontier. when you advance a frontier, you are making mistakes that the capital markets choose not to value. You have to create patents to enable things that you don't know will work. Anytime you are the first person to do something on that scale, the history of human civilization has demonstrated that the only funding available to do that is via governments.
Yeah.
And so what then happens is the patents get issued, the government figures out how to do it, they make it sort of routine, but they're inefficient because it's the government. Then you cede it to private enterprise.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. The Dutch East India Trading Company. They were not the agency that found America from Europe. That was Columbus, funded by Queen Isabella. There was Magellan, also funded by Spain. They laid the groundwork to find out where to go. Does the Earth have an edge or not? Is it something worth doing? Then behind them, the Dutch East India Trading Company came to conduct business in a way safer than could have possibly have been economically justified had they been the first to do it. You look at the railroads that crossed the United States. Newt Gingrich mentioned that as entrepreneurs leading the way, but he neglected the fact that Lewis and Clark got there first on a major funded expedition under the Jefferson administration. So you lay out the land, you map the rivers, you map the terrain, then you've got an understanding of what the risks are for the capital markets to then value, then they come in behind. So I see